Accepting an authorization request in RAM is the fourth and final step to strengthening provider identity. This is the fourth video in the myID and RAM series. To recap, in the last video, Create an Authorization in RAM, we looked at how the principal authority, that is, a sole trader or business owner, needs to create an authorization request in RAM for staff to access the NDIS provider portals on behalf of the business. In this video, I will go through the 4 steps to transition to myID and RAM. What is RAM? How to accept an authorization request in RAM, and what resources and supports are available to help you through this process. The 4 steps to transition to myID and RAM are Step 1, setting up myID. Step 2, logging into RAM and linking your myID to the business ABN in RAM. Step 3, create authorizations. And Step 4, staff to accept an authorization request in RAM. In this video, I will focus on Step 4, which is staff to accept an authorization request in RAM. What is Relationship Authorization Manager, also referred to as RAM? RAM is a secure authorization service that allows you to interact on behalf of a business when accessing online services. To use RAM, you'll need a digital ID such as myID. For more information, visit the RAM website at info.authorizationmanager.gov.au. Step 4, accepting an authorization request in RAM. After the authorization request has been sent by the principal authority, provider staff will need to accept the authorization request in RAM to get access to the NDIS provider portals. We now look at the steps to accepting an authorization request in RAM. For provider staff to accept an authorization request to get access to the NDIS provider portals, they will need to achieve a minimum standard identity strength in their myID. Provider staff will receive an email authorization request from the provider they work for with instructions on how to accept the authorization. Within this email is a 6-digit authorization request code that is valid for 7 days, as shown in image 1. If the code expires before the provider staff accepts the authorization, a new code can be issued by the principal authority or authorization administrator. As shown in image 2, once the provider staff has their 6-digit authorization request code, they can log into RAM using their myID email address. Once logged into RAM, the provider staff clicks on the last selection, which is Accept an Authorization for a Business, as shown in image 3. In image 4, we see the provider staff enters the 6-digit authorization request code in the box and then clicks Submit. Image 5 shows that the provider staff is to review the details, tick the checkboxes, and click Accept to confirm they understand and accept the declaration and provide their express consent. The provider staff member can now access the NDIS provider portals. For more information, visit the RAM website at info.authorizationmanager.gov.au. You can navigate to the Accept an Authorization page, which you will find under the Manage Authorizations tab. To summarize accepting an authorization request in RAM, for access to NDIS provider portals, employees will need to achieve a minimum standard identity strength in their myID. Provider staff will receive a 6-digit authorization request code via email, which the staff member can use to accept the authorization request in RAM. The email address the code is sent to should be unique and checked regularly and can be different to the email address used for myID. The authorization code is valid for 7 days. A new code can be issued if the code expires before the staff member accepts the request. Once the request is accepted, the staff member will be able to access the NDIS provider portals on behalf of the provider organization. Now that you have set up your myID and accepted the authorization request in RAM, you can access the NDIS provider portals using your myID login. Go to the NDIS website and click on the Portal Sign In button. Select Provider Portals from the drop down menu. Choose Continue with Digital ID and select myID. Always ensure you log in via the NDIS website and not saved links as the pathways have changed. There are a number of resources and supports for providers, including the RAM website, which is info.authorizationmanager.gov.au. You can also visit the NDIS website for information on RAM at www.ndis.gov.au. There is a myID and RAM step-by-step guide on the MyPlace Provider Portal resources page on the NDIS website. There is also an individual helpline you can call for RAM inquiries, which is 1300 287 539. You select option 3, then option 1 for RAM inquiries. Thank you. This concludes the video.